Did you know that the key to true inner peace and happiness lies not in what happens around you, but in how you respond to it? It's a truth that often gets lost in the chaos of modern life. We're taught to believe that happiness comes from achieving more, owning more, and controlling every outcome. But the Stoics had a different perspective, one that's more relevant today than ever. In this video, we'll explore powerful Stoic principles that can help you reclaim control, reduce stress, and live a more meaningful life. You'll learn how to embrace what you can control, the power of acceptance, and why mindfulness is the secret to staying grounded in the present moment. Avoid the common mistake of chasing external rewards for happiness. Instead, discover how aligning your desires with what truly matters leads to lasting fulfillment. Let's dive into these ancient but timeless lessons that can transform the way you live and see the world. Number 1. Embrace what you can control, the key to inner peace. Imagine waking up to a calm, golden sunrise. Your first breath feels like a reset. In this moment, everything feels possible. Happiness surrounds you because you are present, unburdened by the chaos that might come later in the day. This serenity, though fleeting, shows us the peace that exists when we focus on what we can control. But what happens when life's inevitable twists hit? A phone call with unexpected news, a sudden rush of demands at work, or a personal challenge you didn't see coming. These moments can quickly shake us. Yet, the secret to maintaining this peace lies not in avoiding life's storms, but in embracing what we can control. At its core, Stoicism teaches us to focus only on what's within our grasp. Think about all the energy we waste worrying about things we cannot change, other people's actions, the opinions of others, or random events. It's as if we're trying to steer a ship in a storm, but without any control over the wind or the waves. Instead of fighting the uncontrollable, Stoicism suggests we shift our focus to what we can influence, our reactions, decisions, and mindset. It's a simple yet profound shift in perspective. Take a moment to reflect on the most stressful moments of your life. How many of those worries were about things outside of your control? Perhaps it was a relationship that didn't work out, or a job situation that turned sour. In hindsight, it's easy to see how we allow ourselves to be consumed by these external factors. Nostalgia takes over when we think about a time when things seemed simpler, a time when our worries didn't dominate our thoughts. But the power of Stoicism reminds us that the peace we long for, that simple happiness, was never about the outside world. It was always about how we chose to respond to it. Curiosity naturally follows. What if we approached life this way more often? What if we actively practiced focusing on our circle of control and allowed everything else to simply be? Imagine how much lighter we would feel, how much more peace we could cultivate. This isn't just about surviving life's storms, it's about thriving within them by shifting our perspective and reclaiming the control we actually have over our own minds. Number 2, use the power of acceptance. Learn to surf life's waves. Think about the last time you felt truly content, maybe sitting with loved ones, laughing, feeling completely in the flow of life. In these moments, everything feels aligned. There's an ease to your existence, a sense of joy that comes effortlessly. But inevitably, the tides of life shift. The job you relied on suddenly becomes unstable. The relationships you cherish hit a rocky patch. This is life's rhythm, unpredictable, sometimes challenging, and yet Stoicism offers us a way to ride these waves, not by resisting them, but by learning to accept them. Acceptance is not about passivity or giving up. It's about understanding that there are forces outside our control and that these forces don't need to dictate our happiness. When you accept what is rather than fighting it, you free yourself from unnecessary suffering. Imagine yourself as a surfer, standing on your board, the ocean beneath you, unpredictable and powerful. You can't control the size of the waves, but you can choose how you ride them. You learn to move with the water, not against it. This is the essence of Stoic acceptance. Now think back to a time in your life when things didn't go as planned. Maybe you had a career setback, or a personal relationship didn't unfold the way you hoped. How did you react? In these moments, we often find ourselves resisting, fighting the reality we face. But looking back, wouldn't it have been easier to simply accept what was happening and adapt? This nostalgia for a more peaceful approach is what Stoicism encourages. Learning to accept life as it unfolds, instead of exhausting ourselves by trying to mold it to our will. Curiosity comes when we begin to wonder, how would life change if we embraced acceptance more readily? What if we leaned into life's uncertainties with open arms, trusting that while we can't always control the circumstances, we can control how we respond to them? This practice of acceptance, of letting go of the need to control everything, could be the key to not only surviving life's challenges, but thriving in spite of them. Number 3, practice mindfulness. Be fully present in the moment. Imagine the joy of a perfect morning. You wake up slowly, the light filters through the window, and you savor your first cup of coffee. There's a peace in these small, seemingly insignificant moments, where everything feels right, simply because you're present. This is the power of mindfulness. It allows us to fully experience the happiness that's available to us in every moment, if only we pause to notice it. Mindfulness, at its heart, is about being where you are, fully, without distraction. In today's fast-paced world, we are often caught up in thoughts of what's next. The to-do lists, the endless notifications, the worries about the future. But mindfulness pulls us back, gently reminding us that life is happening now, in this very moment. The core of Stoicism aligns with this idea: to live fully in the present, to accept this moment as it is, without wishing it were different. It's a practice of awareness, and it brings with it an undeniable peace. Consider a time when you were so consumed by what was coming next that you missed out on what was happening right in front of you. Perhaps it was a family gathering where you were thinking about work, or a quiet evening where you couldn't stop scrolling through your phone. The nostalgia of simpler moments, when we were more connected to our surroundings, reminds us of the value of mindfulness. There's a deep yearning to return to that presence, to savor life as it happens, rather than always anticipating the future or dwelling on the past. And here's where curiosity takes root. How can we bring more mindfulness into our daily lives? What would change if we slowed down, even for a few moments each day, to truly be where we are? It's in these moments of mindfulness that we unlock a deeper connection to ourselves and the world around us. By practicing mindfulness, we not only enrich our own lives, but we also begin to see the beauty and peace that already exist, waiting to be discovered in every breath we take. Number 4, cultivate resilience. Bend, don't break in life's storms. Imagine standing on a hill, feeling the warm sun on your skin, surrounded by the stillness of nature. In this moment, you're grounded, at peace and full of joy. But as with everything in life, calm is fleeting. The sky darkens, winds pick up, and soon you find yourself in the middle of a storm. Most people brace for the worst, hoping to endure it without breaking. But what if, instead of standing rigid, you learn to bend with the winds of life, cultivating resilience that allows you to not just survive, but thrive through adversity? Resilience at its core is the ability to recover from challenges, to adapt when life throws its hardest punches. Stoicism teaches us that life is full of obstacles, and our goal is not to avoid them, but to become stronger through them. It's about finding strength in our setbacks and refusing to be defeated by circumstances beyond our control. Resilience means we can bend without breaking, adapting to life's storms while maintaining our core strength. Like a tree that sways in the wind, we can weather the storm by being flexible rather than rigid and brittle. Think back to a time in your life when you faced a major challenge, perhaps a financial hardship, a personal loss, or a difficult period in your career. In those moments, it often feels like the world is collapsing, that we'll never recover, yet somehow we do. Looking back, there's a sense of nostalgia for those moments of struggle because, though painful, they shaped who we are today. Every challenge we've faced has built our resilience, teaching us that we are stronger than we know. In hindsight, those difficult times were not just obstacles, but stepping stones to growth. Now consider this. How much more resilient could we be if we consciously embraced life's challenges as opportunities for growth? What if we welcomed adversity, knowing that each hardship would only make us stronger? This shift in perspective opens up a world of curiosity about our potential, about the ways we can transform obstacles into triumphs. Cultivating resilience is about more than just bouncing back.
It's about becoming a person who thrives in the face of difficulty, who bends without breaking, and who emerges from life's storms stronger and wiser. Number 5. Choose your response. Mastering your emotional reactions. Think about the last time you felt truly happy. Perhaps it was during a peaceful walk in nature or laughing with friends around a dinner table. In these moments, your heart is light, your mind is clear, and everything feels in balance. But what happens when life throws an emotional curveball? Maybe someone says something hurtful or a situation doesn't go your way. It's in these moments that we're faced with a choice, though we often forget we have one. How will we respond? Mastering our emotional reactions is the Stoic path to maintaining that sense of peace, regardless of external circumstances. Stoicism teaches us that while we cannot always control what happens to us, we can control how we react to it. The events themselves are neutral. It's our interpretation, our emotional response, that creates either peace or distress. Imagine someone cutting you off in traffic. Your immediate response might be anger, frustration, or even rage. But what if, in that moment, you paused and chose a different response? Instead of reacting impulsively, you could acknowledge the event and let it go, maintaining your inner calm. This is what it means to master your emotional reactions. It's the power to choose peace, even in the face of chaos. Now, think about a time when you let your emotions get the best of you, perhaps an argument with a loved one or a stressful situation at work. In hindsight, those emotional outbursts often feel unnecessary, and we may even regret them. Nostalgia creeps in when we remember a time before we let stress or frustration control us, when we were more balanced, more in control of our reactions. But Stoicism reminds us that it's never too late to reclaim that control. By practicing emotional discipline, we can return to a place of peace, no matter the external pressures. This leads to a curious question. What would life look like if we consistently chose our emotional responses? How much happier and more peaceful could we be if, instead of reacting impulsively, we paused and made deliberate choices about how to respond? This practice of emotional mastery is a lifelong journey, but each step brings us closer to inner tranquility. It's a practice that allows us to stay calm in the storm, to find peace amidst chaos, and to live with intention rather than reactivity. Number 6. Limit excessive desires. Find joy in simplicity. Picture yourself in a quiet, sunlit room, surrounded by just the essentials. There's a certain happiness in simplicity, in the absence of clutter, both physical and mental. In this moment, there's no longing for more, no endless desires pulling you in different directions. You're content, at peace with what you have. But modern life often distracts us from this joy. Everywhere we turn, we're bombarded with messages telling us to want more possessions, more achievements, more status. Stoicism, however, teaches us that true happiness isn't found in the accumulation of things, but in limiting our desires and finding joy in simplicity. At the heart of Stoic philosophy is the belief that excessive desires lead to suffering. When we constantly chase after more wealth, more recognition, more possessions, we lose sight of what truly matters. The more we want, the less content we become. But when we limit our desires, when we simplify our lives and focus on what's essential, we create space for joy and contentment. It's about finding satisfaction not in having everything, but in appreciating what we already have. Reflect for a moment on a time in your life when you were content with less. Perhaps it was a childhood memory, playing outside with friends, where happiness wasn't tied to material possessions. Or maybe it was a recent experience, like a quiet evening spent with loved ones, where the simplicity of the moment brought more joy than any purchase ever could. There's a sense of nostalgia for these times, when life wasn't dominated by the pursuit of more. Stoicism encourages us to return to this mindset, to let go of excessive desires and find happiness in what is simple and true. But this raises a curious thought. What would happen if we consciously limited our desires? How much more fulfilled could we be if we stopped chasing after things that don't truly bring us joy? What if, instead of constantly striving for more, we embraced simplicity and found contentment in the present? By letting go of excessive desires, we free ourselves from the endless cycle of wanting, and we rediscover the joy that's already within our reach. It's a powerful reminder that happiness doesn't come from having more, but from wanting less. Number 7. Be virtuous. Anchor your life in timeless values. Imagine a time when you felt truly proud of yourself. Perhaps it was a moment of honesty, when you stood up for what you believed in, or when you helped someone in need, not for recognition, but because it was the right thing to do. In that moment, there was no hesitation, no second guessing. You acted in alignment with your deepest values, and that brought you a profound sense of happiness. Stoicism teaches that living a virtuous life, anchoring yourself in timeless values like wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance, is the path to true fulfillment and inner peace. Virtue, according to Stoicism, is the highest good. It's not about external success or material wealth, but about the quality of your character and the actions you take. To be virtuous means to live with integrity, to do what is right even when it's difficult or unpopular. It's about being honest with yourself and others, acting with kindness, and making choices that reflect your values. When we live virtuously, we are aligned with our true selves, and this brings a deep sense of contentment that cannot be shaken by external circumstances. Think back to a time when you were faced with a moral dilemma. Maybe you were tempted to take a shortcut or do something that didn't align with your values. In that moment, it might have seemed easier to go against your principles, but ultimately, the satisfaction that comes from doing the right thing outweighs any temporary gain from straying off course. There's a nostalgia in remembering the times we chose virtue over convenience, because those are the moments that define who we are. They are the moments we carry with pride and look back on with a sense of accomplishment. But what if we made virtue the foundation of our lives? What if, in every decision, we asked ourselves, is this the virtuous thing to do? This leads to a curious exploration of how much more fulfilling life could be if we anchored ourselves in timeless values. By striving to live virtuously, we not only create a life of meaning for ourselves, but we also inspire others to do the same. It's a path that doesn't rely on external rewards, but on the inner peace that comes from knowing you are living in alignment with your highest self. Number 8. Understand the transitory nature of life. Accept change with grace. Picture yourself sitting by the ocean, watching the waves roll in and out. The sun sets in the distance, casting a golden hue over the water. In this moment, everything is peaceful, yet you know that this tranquility, like the waves, will soon pass. Life, much like the ocean, is in constant flux. Everything changes. Our circumstances, our relationships, even our own thoughts and feelings. Stoicism teaches us to embrace this transitory nature of life, to accept change with grace rather than resist it, and to find peace in the understanding that nothing is permanent. One of the core teachings of Stoicism is the idea of impermanence. Everything we experience, both the joys and the hardships, will eventually pass. By recognizing the fleeting nature of life, we free ourselves from the anxiety that comes with trying to control what we cannot. Instead of clinging to the past or fearing the future, we learn to live fully in the present, accepting change as a natural part of life. This acceptance brings a profound sense of peace, as we no longer waste energy resisting the inevitable. Think about a time in your life when everything seemed to change at once. Perhaps it was a major life transition, like moving to a new city, starting a new job, or the end of a significant relationship. At the time, it may have felt overwhelming, even painful. But looking back, there's often a sense of nostalgia for the person you were in those moments of change. You realize that those transitions, though difficult, were necessary for your growth. They shaped you into the person you are today. In hindsight, we can see that change is not something to be feared, but embraced as an essential part of life's journey. Now, imagine what life would be like if you fully embraced the transitory nature of all things. What if, instead of fearing change, you welcomed it as an opportunity for growth and transformation? This curiosity leads us to explore how much more peaceful we could be if we stopped resisting the natural ebb and flow of life. By accepting change with grace, we allow ourselves to move forward with ease, trusting that every ending brings a new beginning. It's a reminder that life's only constant is change, and the key to inner peace is learning to flow with it. Number 9. The value of gratitude. Appreciate life's everyday miracles. Close your eyes for a moment and think about something that makes you happy right now. Maybe it's the warmth of the sun on your face, the sound of birds singing outside your window, or the laughter of a loved one. These moments, though seemingly small, are what fill our lives with joy. Stoicism teaches us the value of gratitude, the practice of appreciating life's everyday miracles and finding contentment in what we already have, rather than constantly longing for more. Gratitude is a powerful tool for cultivating inner peace. When we focus on what we are grateful for, we shift our attention away from what we lack and instead recognize the abundance that already exists in our lives. It's easy to get caught up in the pursuit of more success, more possessions, more experiences. But Stoicism reminds us that true happiness doesn't come from external sources. It comes from within, from the simple act of appreciating what we have. By practicing gratitude, we find joy in the present moment and realize that we already have enough. Think back to a time when you felt truly grateful. Perhaps it was a moment shared with family or friends, a quiet walk in nature, or an unexpected act of kindness. These moments, though often fleeting, leave a lasting impression. There's a sense of nostalgia in remembering them, as they remind us of the beauty that exists in everyday life. Gratitude allows us to revisit these moments with a sense of wonder and appreciation, helping us to stay grounded in the present. But what if we made gratitude a daily practice? What if, instead of waiting for moments of happiness to find us, we actively sought them out by acknowledging the blessings in our lives? This curiosity opens up a new way of experiencing life, one where joy is not dependent on external circumstances, but on our ability to appreciate what we already have. By cultivating gratitude, we shift our focus from what is missing to what is present, and in doing so, we unlock a deeper sense of fulfillment and peace. Number 10. Seek inner fulfillment. Align your desires with what truly matters. Imagine the feeling of waking up one morning, taking a deep breath, and realizing that at this moment everything feels just right. The rush to achieve, to acquire, or to impress fades into the background, and in its place is a calm sense of satisfaction. This is the essence of inner fulfillment, a state where your desires are aligned with what truly matters to you, and your sense of purpose guides every decision and action. Inner fulfillment doesn't come from chasing external rewards. It comes from living in harmony with your core values and understanding that true contentment is found within. In Stoicism, the pursuit of inner fulfillment is about focusing on what is within our control, specifically our own thoughts, actions, and desires. When we constantly chase after external validation, whether through material possessions, status, or the approval of others, we distance ourselves from true happiness. These things are fleeting, and they often leave us wanting more. However, when we align our desires with our purpose, when we seek fulfillment in living a life of virtue, wisdom, and integrity, we discover a deeper, more lasting sense of contentment. Inner fulfillment is about realizing that we already have everything we need to be at peace. It is found in the choices we make and the way we live each day. Think back to a time when you achieved something you once thought would make you truly happy: a promotion, a new purchase, or a milestone reached. At first, it probably felt exciting, even euphoric. But as time passed, that initial high may have faded, leaving you to wonder if there's something more. These moments often evoke a sense of nostalgia, as they remind us of the fleeting nature of external rewards. The joy they bring is temporary, but they also serve as powerful lessons, teaching us that lasting fulfillment cannot be found in things or achievements alone. Now, imagine what it would be like to shift your focus away from external pursuits and instead seek fulfillment within. What if, rather than looking outward for happiness, you turned inward, aligning your desires with what truly matters: your values, your relationships, your personal growth? This curiosity invites us to explore the concept of fulfillment on a deeper level, one that is not dependent on circumstances, but on the inner work we do to live a meaningful life. When we seek inner fulfillment, we step off the treadmill of constant striving and into a place of peace and contentment, where we are no longer driven by the need for more, but by the desire to live authentically and with purpose. By aligning your desires with your core values, you create a life that is rich in meaning and purpose. You begin to find joy not in what you acquire, but in who you become. This is the ultimate lesson of Stoicism. Inner fulfillment comes from living in accordance with your principles, from finding peace in the present moment, and from understanding that true happiness is not something to be found outside of yourself, but something to be cultivated from within. As we've journeyed through these Stoic principles, it's clear that the path to inner peace, resilience, and fulfillment lies not in the external world, but in mastering ourselves. By embracing what you can control, practicing mindfulness, and accepting life's inevitable changes with grace, you are already taking steps toward living a life of deeper meaning and purpose. These practices aren't just about feeling better, they're about becoming stronger and wiser with every challenge you face. Drop 100 if you've made it this far, because it shows you're part of the rare 0.01% who actually finish what they start. If you're serious about transforming your life and want more tools to guide you on this journey, make sure to join our community by subscribing to the channel. Let's continue growing and learning together, one step at a time.